So something I've been thinking about for a while is this issue of presentation online. And I say it's an issue because it concerns with how I do anything at all online. And this is a hard problem because if you don't know how you're doing what you're doing, then you're not really doing it. By that I mean, if you think you're doing something, but then you go on to do something else, while thinking you did the first thing, well, you've really accomplished neither, because you have no idea what you've actually just done, the people you're presenting to don't know what the hell you've just done, and the whole damn thing is an incoherent mess. So the ultimate question then is, how do you make what you're doing coherent? How do you trust what you're doing as something you do intend to do, and something you do mean to do? And to make that sound less arcane, how do you be sure of yourself when you're doing something, right? How, when you're in the midst of doing it, do you do it? Okay, so to make that a more concrete question, how do you know when you're talking to potentially thousands of people online that you're doing something which is adequately reflective of what you want to say, and yet also truthful to how you want to say it? And so by this I mean two things. First, how do I communicate what I actually want to communicate, what's on my mind, what I just want to say? And then second, how do I do that in a manner which is adequately representative of what it is, in fact, I do want to say? So for instance, I could have opinion XYZ about issue A, B, and C, but that's not going to be truthful information simply in virtue of my having the opinion of it. I need to be informed on the matter. And so then there's a question of how do you get the adequate information? How do you present it in a way that isn't going to be deemed by somebody to be a misconstrual of the facts? And then how do you, furthermore, dedicate the time to not only doing both of those things, but presenting in a way which is still entertaining for people? So that's the real trilemma, if you will. Nailing down my own opinion, making sure it's right, and doing it within enough fucking time to still be able to do everything else I need to do to make a video. This is a hard problem because the world is a complex place and I don't have all the answers and I'm never gonna fucking have all of them, and I know that. But I still have opinions, and I still want to say things, and I'd still like to speak my goddamn mind. And when people do inevitably call me out, I would like to be able to speak in good faith and say, well, I did research X, Y, and Z, this is what I found, given what I was able to do with my limited time frame and my fucking temporal condition as a human being like the goddamn rest of us. So that's one thing I would like to be able to do. But the other is to still create an experience for the viewer which is worthwhile at the end of the day. And so this concerns two things then. It concerns, first of all, the wrapper around which presentation is in fact presented. And this, in sum, to speak highly concretely, is the difference between merely presenting to you as a finished product and presenting as something like that which is in the process of being developed. And this is an important distinction to make because I generally fall into the first camp whenever I want to present anything. I want to generally say, here's my fully formed opinion, thought, etc. I'm putting this out into the world because I adequately believe in it, I support it, so on and so forth. And there's something, I don't know, that I just find to be intrinsically fulfilling about that style of doing things. I don't know why I do, but it's just like the natural way that I think. Maybe school had cultivated that as I had to do more essays and take tests, etc. There's just been this continuous emphasis on putting out a complete thought, that you cannot leave things in the midst of question. Though in university that's certainly not the case, and I've read many papers that are simply problematics in that they only say, here's a problem, I don't have the solution, but this is a step towards the solution. And so I am aware that this is a method, but it's very difficult to ingrain myself in that kind of thing. For whatever reason, I don't know why. I feel maybe on the one hand, it is a deeply rooted insecurity in myself, a feeling that unless I am totally certain of myself, then I'm no good. But then it also could be, I don't know, an internalized problem of ego where I feel as though I need to measure up to some preconceived notion of myself. I really don't know. But this is the default mode in which I've been doing things. And so the choice, for instance, to record this video without having shaved, without having done my hair, without having dressed very nicely. I'm just wearing a pajama shirt right now. Intentional choices which I hope in some respect are capable of habituating this idea that to comply with the utmost requisites of perfection, as I have it in my mind, is not only a vain activity, but is one which is actively working against me. I'm working on a video right now, for the main channel, of course, and I've read 19 articles for it, when really, if I would just present my thoughts as though they were simply provisional aspects of something I think is interesting, I wouldn't have had to spend the last week doing this fucking research. Of course, I'm glad I did the research, and it's always good to be more adequately informed about things. At the end of the day, makes actually presenting the video and recording everything, the script and so on, much more difficult because I now have more information that I need to incorporate. It works against my allocation of time because there are other things I could have done instead of reading secondhand sources about the material that I want to present. It's just no good. It's just no fucking good. And so the second way, this sort of procedural, processorial, temporary, provisional means of presenting things is what has to be done. And I know I kind of talked about this in the last video, but oh my god, there's something in my heart and my stomach which just is so against it and so firmly holding me back from wanting to do this. It's like, I don't know, like I'm showing myself in a manner which is so raw as to almost be not even me. Because I think in such manners, in such ways that are so strict and dense in my own mind, that when I attempt to do anything otherwise than to speak what is constantly going on in these ruminations, that it's just like, don't take away my protective covering from me, which keeps me nice and content. But then I have to do it. It has to be done, or else what I'm doing online and my project in general, of presenting anything at all, is woefully inadequate to do anything beyond presenting these overwrought, like, pseudo-thoughts, I suppose you could call them, because they're just so churned in my head. I don't know. I see this channel as something like the documentation of the process, because the more I lean towards personalistic content on my primary channel, I think documenting the process whereby I enter into that mode of actually doing things is going to become necessary, and so moving forward, perhaps that's what I will dedicate this channel towards, thoughts on this really deep anxiety that I have about simply presenting thoughts as my own, in the full disclosure that they are limited, and being comfortable with my limitations. I'm severely uncomfortable with my limitations, and I really need to overcome that. Thinking through things like this is something of a tool that assists me in doing so, but thank you for watching. I have nothing more to say on my mind. I just wanted to express this difficulty that I'm currently experiencing. Thank you, and goodbye.